there, I'm Jules. Nice to see you. The word of the day today is French. You know, like the nationality, or like French fries. I like French fries. Do you like French fries? If you'd like to know why French is the word of the day, watch my next video and then read the description to find out. I don't know what's going on today. Hey babes, today we're playing Seduce Me Part 3. So I really like where this is going. I'm excited to see how it kind of plays out. Like, are we going to be able to pick who we're with? Is it a fixed ending? Most visual novels aren't a fixed ending, but I don't know. I don't know much about Otome games, so we'll see. Because so far I haven't really had any choices to make. Not really. And I don't really have a preference for a guy yet. So we'll see how they treat me. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, continue. The two boys led me back to the dining room, where the smell of bacon and eggs danced in the air. The smell wafted from the kitchen and made its way into the room, making my stomach growl in need. Breakfast smells good.
We should be done with breakfast soon. If you want to sit down at the table, you can.
Okay, Damien. I nodded before sitting down. As I sat down, however, my mind drifted back to the dream I had. That feeling of hostility around me made my body shudder instinctively, even though it wasn't real. I knew it wasn't real. However, as my eyes closed, I felt a hand place itself on top of my head, breaking me out of my thoughts. Huh?
Morning. You alright?
Yeah, I'm fine. Sam, the owner of the hand on my head, raised an eyebrow at me before rustling my hair and moving away to sit down at the table. He then barked towards the kitchen where James was working.
Hey! Is the food done yet? I'm starving!
Gonna go ahead and turn you down a little bit there, Sam.
There's no need to yell, Sam!
Jeez.
You're yelling too!
Gotta turn that down a little more, guys.
Don't argue with me!
From behind me, Eric appeared and sat beside me, rubbing his temples in obvious annoyance.
Can we not yell this early in the morning? It's not like we're in the castle.
Castle? For some reason, when I heard the word castle, I couldn't help but yell in surprise. These guys had a castle? Sam looked at me and smirked at my reaction.
Yeah, we have a castle back home. Our dining room's 10 times bigger than this room.
And wouldn't it be logical to not yell?
Whatever.
Soon, James and Damien appeared, carrying plates full of bacon, eggs, toast, and waffles. They placed the plates down by each seat before seating themselves.
My favorite.
Finally.
Thank you for the breakfast. It looks amazing.
It's our pleasure.
All of a sudden, my phone began to ring, ushering me to pull it from my pocket and answer. Hello?
Hey, good morning! Guess who's at your door right now?
Right on cue, there was a knock from the lobby door. My heart stopped. Suzu and Naomi were here.
I'll get it.
My heart quickly began to pound in my chest. Matthew was in the lobby, and he'd get to the door first. I instantly jumped out of my chair and rushed out of the dining room. As I passed through the archway between the dining room and lobby, I saw Matthew reach his hand for the brass door handle, causing the world to go into slow motion. Matthew, don't! But before my words could reach his ears, Matthew had opened the door and revealed the surprised faces of Naomi and Suzu. The world around me stopped as Suzu and Naomi kept their eyes on Matthew, who merely stared back in fear and embarrassment. I could feel the air go from warm to freezing in a matter of seconds.
Hi?
I could not believe this was happening. How was I going to explain this? This week was already bad enough. To make matters worse, I was frozen in place. Please, for God's sake, someone do something other than stand there.
Who are you?
Suzu, let me explain.
What's going on here?
Who's at the door, Matthew? Oh.
Oh. Soon the other incubi appeared in the lobby with us. This situation was not getting pretty. I had to think fast. They're my brothers. They're visitors.
Then why did one of them open the door?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
What am I supposed to say? It was no use. There was no time to lie to them. I felt helpless. Then I felt a hand on my shoulder and felt the tension in my body almost fade away. I turned my head to see James smile at me before stepping in front of me.
We must apologize, ladies. We know this situation must be confusing for everyone. Let's take this to the dining room and we'll explain everything.
I stared at James wide-eyed. Was he going to tell them who they were? Everything seemed surreal. Before I knew it, I was led to the dining room along with Suzu and Naomi and sat across from their confused gazes. As Naomi and Suzu sat down, Eric and Matthew placed their untouched plates of food in front of them, surprising their guests.
Whoa, this looks amazing!
Thank you.
Our pleasure, ladies. We hope you enjoy your meals.
Make sure you dig in!
I looked at Naomi and Suzu as they began to eat, visibly enjoying every bite they placed in their mouth. Hopefully the food would ease their minds for whatever James wanted to reveal. As Naomi and Suzu ate their impromptu meals, James and the other boys stood behind my chair, making me grow more red in the face.
So, Anderson, are you gonna tell us what's going on?
Well, you see, Gently, James placed a hand on my shoulder again, signaling me to just eat my food. As I began to eat, he spoke to Naomi and Suzu.
We are Miss Anderson's house servants. We were hired by her late grandfather to help around the mansion, but since he has passed, we now assist Miss Anderson with living on her own.
That makes sense. It's such a huge house.
A huge house for a wonderful princess such as Miss Anderson deserves the greatest of servants to care for it.
I thought they would go with servants.
But why are you all dressed so casually and stuff? Aren't servants supposed to have uniforms or whatever?
Well, Miss Anderson allows us to get comfy while we work, so she lets us wear casual clothes.
Yeah, something like that.
We're sorry if we made this situation awkward earlier.
We're very sure that Miss Anderson is also still getting used to having us as her servants. It would be very hard to explain after just a day.
I guess.
So, if I may ask, what brings you two ladies here?
Well, we wanted to see how our friend was doing. Since it's the weekend and all, usually we hang out and just chill.
Yeah, like going to the arcade and stuff.
Or the Pink Lady Cafe.
There's an arcade?
That makes a lot of sense, ladies. Well, we don't wish to disturb you any further than we have, so we'll take our leave and start preparing the house.
Huh? Preparing for what?
We gotta prep the house for some sort of housewarming party thing.
Our princess's parents requested a housewarming party to be held here soon.
And by soon, they mean tonight.
Oh, well, I guess we can help out or something. Right, Naomi?
I thought you wanted to go to the arcade.
This housewarming thing is more important.
No need. We can handle it. If you'd like to, miss, you can go out with your friends while we handle things here.
Seriously?
Sam, not now.
Well, I wanted to help out, but at the same time, I wanted to go out with my friends. James gave me an understanding look, letting me know that if I left, everything would be okay. I had to make a decision. I'll stay and help around the house.
Are you sure?
Well, aren't my friends gonna stay and help too? I'm sure. Besides, it is my housewarming party. I should help out too.
Want us to help out as well?
I think we got it all taken care of. Thanks though, girls.
All right. We'll head on out then so we're not in the way.
Sorry guys, I'll hang out with you guys soon.
It's all good, Anderson. We'll definitely come to the housewarming party tonight.
Thank you. I led them back into the lobby and walked them to the doors, opening it for them with a thankful smile. They both gave me hugs before walking out to Naomi's car, which was parked in the driveway. And with that, they left. I was happy that they wanted to help, but I had to do this on my own. It was not their work, so I didn't want to force it on them just because they were my best friends. We had the entire day to work. The party was tonight, and we had to do all we could to make everything right. We sat down and talked about what needed to happen before the party started that night. Each guy had been assigned a different part of the party to do, and right after lunch we began to work. Since everything was taken care of by at least one Incubus, James told me I could assist one of them. The question was, who? Who indeed? James with the garden, Eric with the dining room, Sam with the front yard, Matthew with cooking, Damien with the lobby. I like James, Eric, and Sam. I think those are my three, even though Sam is kind of a douche. But I think I'm going to go with Eric. I'm going to go with Eric. I stayed in the dining room, knowing that the table had to become a buffet table. As I looked around the room carefully, I noted that the floor needed waxing and the table surfaces needed major dusting. Eric came up next to me, lowered a small mop and bucket he had brought in onto the floor, and rolled his sleeves up higher on his arm before looking at me with a raised eyebrow.
Are you sure you want to work with me with cleaning this place up? It'll be a lot of cleaning and tidying. Plus, we have to move the chairs to the corner.
I shook my head, pulling up my sleeves and walking to the table, grabbing a hold of a chair. I think I can handle lifting a couple chairs and moving them. Eric smiled at me with a soft chuckle before following my lead. Eventually, we had moved all the chairs to the corner of the room and begun cleaning the room and the table. Silence consumed the air as we both focused on cleaning. I decided to start mopping the floor, but as I stepped towards the bucket, my foot rolled over a small fluffy object, causing me to slip. Ah! Before I hit the floor, however, I wound up in the arms of Eric, staring up at him in a dance-like dip while gripping onto his shirt. His face held pure concern as he held on and looked down at me.
Are you all right, Princess?
Princess. Okay. Yeah. All I could do was nod as I stared at Eric. He was genuinely concerned. There was no flirtation or smirk on his face. It was cute to see a new side of him. Eric let out a small sigh in relief.
That's a relief. You didn't twist your ankle, did you?
No, I'm fine. Gently, I felt Eric's arm dip under my knee so he could lift me up bridal style. I gripped tighter onto his shirt before he sat me on the table and knelt down to look at my feet. I'm really fine. Eric didn't speak as he gently looked over my ankles, lightly massaging them to test for pain. I didn't feel any pain. I felt pleasure. I bit my lip as Eric gently massaged his fingers over my skin. This is not where I thought this was going to go. I'd had foot massages before, but Eric had amazing skill. Each touch and press sent a wave of pleasure running up my spine. I had to fight to hold back a moan. Did you? Eric's face, though, didn't shift to any of mischief or seduction. It remained as concerned as ever. He was full of surprises. Eventually, he finished looking over my feet and smiled in relief. He slowly stood up and smiled his usual smile at me with a small giggle.
You were right, Princess. You were fine.
Eric gently lifted me off the table and lowered me to the floor before placing a swift kiss onto my forehead and continuing his work. I stood there for a moment before slowly walking to the bucket and cleaning as well. My heart continued to pound as we both finished cleaning that room. The hour of the house party had arrived. In my mind, I kept double and triple checking the essentials for the party. Knowing my dad, he invited his business partners and the executives of the Anderson Company to show me off. I stood in front of my mirror in my room, staring at my form as a million thoughts ran through my mind. It was just a housewarming party, but at the same time, it wasn't. It was my chance to show my dad that I was better than his expectations. It was a chance for me to see my parents as a woman. To see my parents as a woman? For my parents to see me as a woman? Is that what you mean? It was my test to see if I was really ready to live on my own. Well, not truly alone. I had the incubi to thank, but even so, I didn't have my dad guiding me or my mom helping me through living alone. A knock on my door broke my thoughts, surprising me. Who is it?
Hey, are you okay in there? Your parents should be here soon, so you should hurry getting ready.
Well, I'm ready, but...
But what? I'm sure you look fine, Anderson. Just come on out.
All right. As soon as I opened the door to the hall, I watched as Naomi and Suzu's faces turned from smiles to complete awestruck stares. What?
Dude, you look hot.
Yeah, you look amazing. Where did you get that dress?
I've had it for a while. I just never had the chance to wear it. I figured I might as well bring it out now. I stepped out of my room and closed my bedroom door behind me. As I walked down to the hall to the grand lobby, the incubi stood waiting for me at the bottom, all dressed to the nines as proper servants.
Whoa, they really know how to dress well, don't they?
Yeah. I was slightly taken aback on how great the boys looked in uniform. Each had the poise of a perfect gentleman, even Sam. I slowly began to climb down the steps with Suzu and Naomi behind me. The boys watched as I descended the staircase one step at a time, like knights waiting for their princess. I felt my face slightly flush, but I quickly shook my head to try and regain my thoughts. As I reached the last step, James offered his hand out to me and walked me down that final step, smiling.
As beautiful as a princess, miss.
Thank you.
So, are you prepared for tonight?
As ready as I'll ever be. I couldn't deny that I was nervous, but I had to try. This party was more than what it seemed, and I had done all that I could to prepare for it. Now it was all up to fate. The other boys smiled assuringly at me, which made me feel a little bit better about everything. I looked at my phone and marked the time. Almost right on cue, the doorbell rang. I gulped. I could practically feel my dad's aura from behind the door. Sam and Eric quickly rushed to the door and opened the double doors wide to reveal my parents, both dressed in their best. Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad.
Oh my, I didn't know your bequeathment came with servants.
It was probably overlooked. Besides, who would deny good service?
I was completely shocked. My parents didn't question the boys? They didn't ask for verification or anything? I looked to the boys and noticed Sam and Eric staring intently at my parents. Were they using their powers on them? They had to be. There was no way they'd be okay with this otherwise.
I guess the servants counted as belongings to the house.
My mother quickly rushed to me and gave me a large hug. I hugged her back, inhaling her perfume. It had only been a couple days, but living away from the ones who raised me was hard. My mother soon let me go and looked at my outfit.
Gorgeous. You look so lovely. David, look at your daughter and tell her I'm right.
I looked to my dad, who was looking around the lobby like an inspector. I stood my ground, waiting for him to look at me. When he did, he let a small smile grace his lips.
Your mother's right. You look like you're all grown up.
Thanks, you piece of crap. The world around me stopped as my heart pounded hard in my chest. Did my dad just compliment me? On his own accord? My mother was grinning ear to ear at his words. I was beyond speechless. Thank you, Daddy. However, his cold face quickly returned as he began to look around once again.
I assume that you're ready, then, to impress the rest of the guests, correct?
What do you mean?
The entire board from Anderson Toys is coming tonight. Even the vice chairman's son will be coming. All of them will be measuring your potential.
Great. My potential?
To become CEO of the company.
I knew it. Something was off about tonight, and now this party had become much more than I anticipated. I gulped silently, but I nodded in response. I looked to the incubi, but they were continuing to be servants for my father's approval. I looked behind me and saw Naomi and Suzu raise their thumbs at me for encouragement. I let out a small breath before feeling my body accept the situation. I felt a weight in my gut, but I had to hide it. As if time zoomed forward, all of a sudden, the main hall of the lobby was full of guests. Men and women in formal or business attire showed up to meet me and see my new home. I didn't expect many to come, but I was once again surprised that night. I shook hands with many officials and executive members, putting on the professional face my dad trained me to have. I felt overwhelmed, but I hid it well behind a small smile and a handshake. Many even asked me questions. I tried my best to reply as maturely as possible. I had to remember, say what they want to hear, not what you want to say.
So, how do you feel living on your own at such a young age?
Oh, shoot. It's been pretty good, actually.
I'm so sorry about your grandfather passing away. It really hit all of us hard.
Okay, I'm timed. Thank you for your condolences.
Do you have college plans?
There's a possibility. Felt like the questions came up one after another. It was tough to answer some of them because they weren't about me. They were about the company.
What do you think will happen with the company now that your grandfather has passed?
It will get back on track soon.
What do you think of the philanthropic policy the company has?
It's a policy that reflects my own values, so I personally think it's great.
Do you think the company should expand from just toys?
It's a possibility. Eventually, the questions stopped and I was back to being by myself. Naomi and Suzu were mingling in the crowds, and the incubi were doing their jobs, so I was all alone in a room full of strangers. It was unnerving to think about, but at least I wasn't being questioned left and right anymore. Suddenly, though, my mom pushed her way through the crowd to me, bringing along someone I didn't know.
Honey, I'd like to introduce you to someone. This kind gentleman is the son of the vice chairman.
Oh, he's cute. With my mother stood a man who looked only a couple of years older than me. He smiled and held out his hand to me, silently asking for my hand.
Hi, I'm Andrew Lewis. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Anderson.
As I placed my hand in his, he raised it to his lips and kissed over my knuckles. I felt my face burn slightly at the gesture. Andrew smiled at me before releasing my hand.
I'm honored to be invited here.
My mother smiled at both of us, which made me slightly concerned. Why was she excited to introduce me to Andrew?
So, you organized this party very well, Miss Anderson.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Praise is very much deserved.
He's kind of a square, though. Andrew then chuckled nervously, bringing a soft fist to his lips to cover his laugh properly before smiling at me.
I'm sorry if I seem a little forward. I've just been excited to meet Harold Anderson's granddaughter.
Huh? Why?
He used to talk about you all the time in the office on how you helped him refine his toys. I only attended meetings and heard all of the stories. You've helped a lot with the success of the company without having to actually work there.
Oh, wow. I didn't know he talked about me. That would explain everyone's fascination with me and their rather personal questions. I looked at Andrew, who had a kind face to me. Something about him seemed off, and I didn't know what it was. He seemed to be hiding something. Whether it was good or bad, I was not able to find out. Really? I didn't get that at all. I felt someone walk up beside me, causing me to turn to them. Next to me was my dad, giving his cold stare to Andrew, who suddenly became tense.
So, you're Jared's son.
Andrew's body twitched slightly. Whether it was fear or insult, Andrew locked eyes with my father. I couldn't help but feel the tension between them. It irked me how fragile the air had become, enough to break at the wrong word.
You're the one who wants to be the next CEO of the Anderson Company.
Well...
I stared at Andrew. This guy wanted to take my grandfather's place as CEO? I thought the vice chairman wanted the position.
David, leave the poor boy alone.
I'm merely testing the boy's conversational skills. Nothing wrong with that.
Of course not, sir.
And polite as well. Interesting.
Interesting.
If you'll excuse me.
Quickly, Andrew retreated away from my family into the crowd of people. I'm gonna stay here. I watched as he disappeared into the crowd towards the back of the house. I was worried, but I gave him space. He obviously needed it.
Peh. He's not CEO material.
And I am?
That's because you practically interrogated the young man.
A little questioning shouldn't have bothered him. He's obviously not ready for any title in our company.
I bit my tongue. I didn't want to make a scene with my dad. One wrong word and he'd lecture me in front of everyone. That was not something I wanted at my housewarming party. I let out a sigh before looking at the clock. It was getting close to midnight, meaning that the party was going to end soon. I lowered my gaze out the window and saw a limo pull up. Huh? Whose limo is that?
Oh, that must be Lewis's car.
I'll go get him. Stay with your father so you can escort your guests out together.
Yes, Mom. My mother left my dad and me to slowly escort the guests out. My dad held his simple smile as he thanked each person for coming. I did the same. Andrew quickly passed the doors before I could speak. Eventually, only Suzu, Naomi, my parents, and the Incubi were left. My dad suddenly walked over and placed a hand on my shoulder with a smile. I stared up at him, a wave of confusion washing over my face. What?
You did good tonight. I'm proud.
Oh, thank you, Dad.
Keep it up, and you'll be a good CEO.
You slapped me in the face. Shut up. Your opinion doesn't matter. Oh, right.
All right. Your mother and I have to leave. I'm sure Naomi and Suzu need to leave as well. Just because it's Saturday doesn't mean you should stay up all night.
You can't tell me what to do. I live in my own house. Oh, right.
Thanks for having us. It was a great party.
We'll come visit tomorrow or something. All right?
Right. See ya.
Good night, sweetie. Come visit us soon.
Will do. All four of my remaining guests left the building, all but my dad waving back to me. With the last of the guests gone, I sighed and sat on the staircase, exhausted. Whew, that was tiring.
It's not like you had to do any work, though.
Shut up.
Give her a break, man. She was getting interrogated left and right.
She handled herself the best she could.
As expected, Princess.
Since you're exhausted, why not head to bed? We can clean up.
Ugh.
You're a butthole, dude.
Hush, Sam.
Are you guys sure?
Positive. It shouldn't take long.
Ho ho ho! It didn't take long to find you little shits after all.
I felt a hot shudder run down my spine. The voice from my dreams echoed through the air into my ears. I looked around, panicked, alongside the Incubi. James placed a hand on my shoulder, trying to remain calm.
Don't worry. No one will hurt you.
Are you sure? Are you really sure?
Oh, God. All of us shot our heads towards the doors, finally pinning down the direction of the voice. The doors quickly swung open, revealing a sight I would have never expected to see. Was it Andrew? Oh. Never mind. Skin red as blood, eyes black and gold piercing into mine, roughened up clothes and a pistol in his hand. I saw a monster. Oh. I covered my mouth to not scream at the sight. Dried blood covered the bandana around his neck as he smirked at me and the boys around me. Beside the red-skinned man was a similar-looking woman in matching thug-like clothes. I almost read bandana as banana. Dried blood covered the banana around his neck.
Aw, what's the matter, boys? You really didn't think I wouldn't find you, did you?
Jeez.
I hoped you would, you piece of...
All of a sudden, the man raised his gun at Sam's face and instantly pulled the trigger. Oh, what? We all gasped in shock, instinctively expecting to see a bullet run through Sam's face, but...
What the fuck?
What?
What should have been a headshot ended with a loud but empty blank shot. The pistol echoed its empty shots as the man grew more and more pissed, pulling the trigger over and over in aggravation. Luckily for my ears, it became quieter after its first shot.
Why the fuck won't you work?
Jeez.
This place is protected.
What did you say, Shrimp?
This place has a seal, protecting it from hellborn magic.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Ah!
The man growled and threw his gun at Sam, who was able to dodge it in time. The pistol bounced off the ground a couple of times before sliding further away, hitting the wall in a final stop. As it stopped moving, the gun faded into black flame that disappeared into the air.
The previous owner had this place protected by magic, Malix.
Malix, that was his name. His existence resonated in my memory from the dream I had. However, I looked to Matthew in the same confusion as Malix did. This place is protected by magic?
It would seem that your grandfather had some sort of protective barrier around this house. From the looks of it, it only disables hellborn magic.
Malix's face grew to that of extreme anger, his fist tightening as if he was crushing a stress ball.
Then what's stopping me from dragging your asses out and shooting you then?
Out of pure instinct, I stepped forward and placed myself between Malix and the boys. With no power, Malix wasn't going to fight. I took that chance to stand up to him instead of being powerless like I was in the dream. Get out of my house. Malix growled at me, walking right up to me and leaning close to my face. I glared back, feeling my courage skyrocket.
Since when does a little stain like you give orders to a guy who can rip your pretty little head from your body?
Since this is my house, you frick. You really don't think, do you? If you kill me, you'd be hunted down by more than just the police.
You little...
What? The time choices are freaking me out. I said, what? All of a sudden, I felt a hand grip my hair and pull it back, forcing me to cry out and stare up at Malix. His eyes bored into mine as he cackled in my face.
Hey! Let her go!
Sam! Eric!
Within mere seconds, Sam had punched Malix square in the jaw, forcing him to let my hair go. As I fumbled back, Eric caught me in his arms, gently pulling me away from Malix and back in their group.
Come on, Sam. You and me. Right here. Let's go!
Come on, asswipe!
However, before both could fight, the woman stepped forward and placed a firm grip on Malix's shoulder.
That's enough, Malix.
What? Who do you think you're speaking to, woman?
The girl who's going to help you kill them. Just not now.
Not now?
I stared at the girl as she spoke down at Malix. She looked the same, just like pure evil. However, she seemed to be concerned for Malix, or for me.
There's 5 of them and 2 of us. Even if we come back with the gang, they can have the place surrounded by human police.
Then we shoot everyone!
Think! If we shoot everyone, we'll be hunted. And it'll be a matter of time before makeshift paladins come and try to exorcise us.
Jesus. The two growled at each other. If they could have used their magic, I could sense that fire would glow from under their teeth. From under their teeth? Fire would glow from under their teeth? I can't picture that at all. What does that mean? Malix grunted and glared at the boys. He pointed at James, wanting so badly to use his fingers like a knife. He uses fingers like a knife?
Just wait, pretty boys. We'll get you and fuck you up real good.
Jeez. Then Malix turned to me, moving his finger to point directly between my eyes.
And don't think you're safe. Step outside. I dare you.
Okay. With that, Malix and the woman walked out of the mansion. The doors closed behind them, leaving the boys and I alone once again. I felt my knees give out from under me, forcing the boys to quickly turn to catch me.
Whoa! Are you alright?
Yeah, why was he here?
He's been closely tracking us. Our blood trail from the forest must have led him here.
We should have stopped him and finished it here.
For once, Matthew, I agree with you.
I stood up and rubbed my arms, feeling the goosebumps Malix left behind on me. I couldn't stop myself from shivering in fear of his words. Malix, was he a demon?
That son of a bitch is not a demon. He's a devil.
A devil? There's a difference?
Yes. Demons come from a different plane of existence called the abyssal planes. Devils, however, come from one of the 7 circles of a place humans know as hell. Despite us not being human, we are very different creatures.
We actually have brains, for one. Devils always like to cause trouble and try to kill or torture others for their own enjoyment. Demons, like us, know when to use our powers and when not to. We're not stupid.
Devils follow orders from higher-ups in their order, and their power only comes from their connection to hell. Demons all have free wills and don't rely on where they came from to use their powers.
This was all so confusing. Demons and devils and magic all existed, and I happened to land right in the middle of it. What do we do?
You're safe. You've been protected as well.
What?
What Damien's saying is that the magic that protects this place also protects you.
Your grandfather must have cast it when you last saw him or something of that nature. We can sense its aura around your body.
I couldn't believe my ears. It was the 3rd day of surprises, and this one took the cake in being the most surprising. I felt my head spin once again. What did I get myself into?
Miss, please don't worry. We'll find a way to train ourselves and become stronger to finally finish this feud.
I'm gonna kick his ass right now!
Right now.
Until then, we'll protect you as much as we can. If Malix comes back, we'll be here for you.
But what about going outside? Won't he...
Like we said, you have a protection spell on you. Even if Malix attacks you, he won't be able to use his magic on you. He'd be just like any other human you can fight back against.
Didn't you say you knew Taekwondo?
Well, yeah. I felt somewhat relieved that I was mostly safe from Malix. Still, I could not help but feel very nervous and apprehensive about the future. The boys were safe here to train and become stronger, but what if Malix did the same? Even more so, I was lost about how my grandfather knew about magic. I had to find out. At least I had time. I went to bed that night feeling nervous. Despite the words of the incubi, I felt like a target to something I'd never been able to explain or prove. Magic? Devils? Demons? How did all this even happen? Should I really meddle with the situation? They were only staying until after they defeat Malix. That's right. They said they'd only stay until after they defeated Malix. After that, my life could go back to normal. Temporary insanity, as Kay would say. The question was then, would I want them to leave? Wait, who's Kay? As Kay would say. There's no person named Kay in this game. What? If my life went back to normal, then I'd have to care for the house all on my own. I'd get to focus on my life instead of being distracted by the boys. I'd have to. My life. Where was my life going anyway? I was under pressure from my parents with only my friends and the boys to comfort me. Without the boys, I'd have no way to hide from my responsibilities. Enough. Let's just sleep and deal with tomorrow when it comes. Defeating my sense of thought, I forced myself to sleep, unsure of what tomorrow had planned for me. Hopefully, whatever the future had for me, I would be ready for it.
I promise to be with you forever.
That sounds like Naomi.
You're so important to me.
I swear I'll give my life to you.
Please, let me love you.
I'll be by your side, always.
I can't imagine living without you.
I want to be with you.
I love you.
I slowly opened my eyes, letting the voices of my dream echo in my head and force me awake. I rubbed my eyes before sitting up and looking at my clock. 7 a.m. Why am I up so early? I fell back onto the bed and closed my eyes, trying to go back to sleep. However, something kept me awake. Why? It's too early to even be alive. I gave up and sat up, staring at the fireplace across from my bed. A sigh escaped from between my lips before I threw my legs over the side of the bed. What to do at 7 a.m. in the morning. 7 a.m. in the morning is a stupid phrase, because it's already implied that it's the morning because you're saying a.m. Like 7 p.m. at night. Yeah, because you said p.m. Explore the house. I decided it was a good idea to wander around the house. I never really explored it much as a child, so there were bound to be new surprises. Well, come on, feet. Let's go on an adventure. Don't know why I'm talking to my feet, but okay. I stood and exited my room, hoping that the boys were still asleep. I began to wander the halls on my end of the house, opening each door to find what room each door led to. Quickly, I found an old office. A desk and chair sat by the far side of a large bookshelf of documents and memorabilia adorned its nook and crannies. There were a couple pictures of me growing up peeking from the shelf as I walked further into the room. I don't believe I've been in here before. I tried to recall memories of ever seeing this room, coming up with nothing as a result. This room was new to me. Did I want to disturb the furniture? I'm curious. I gently opened the shelves and any drawers I saw in the room. In a couple of them were books and even sewing kits. I assumed they were used for my grandfather's toys, so I left them alone. One drawer, however, was locked, no matter how many times I pulled. Ugh, come on, open! Nothing. It would not budge. The drawer beside it, though, did, revealing a laptop. Why is there a laptop in a drawer? I lifted it from the drawer and carried it over to the desk and chair, opening it. It was a high-tech laptop with a retina scanner as a pass lock. I was not sure whether or not to try to unlock it. I'll try. I decided to try. I turned on the computer and leaned my face near the retina scanner, lining the camera up with my eye. To my surprise, I heard a ping coming from the computer before the screen opened to a desktop. Huh! Look at that. On the desktop were documents and folders labeled with different aspects of the Anderson Company. Taxes, profits, bylaws, products, the list went on and on. If I really did want to become the CEO of the Anderson Toys Company, I had everything about it at my fingertips. Dad sure would be impressed. One icon, however, stood out from the rest. Vorago? I double-clicked the icon, but no window came up. Instead, I heard a large click come from the drawer that was locked. What the? I slowly left my seat and walked over to the drawer, attempting to open it again. It slid open smoothly in the direction of my pulling hand, revealing 2 books. One was a plain black journal with a tie to keep it closed. The other was bound in leather with cryptic symbols all over the cover. I took out the journal and skimmed through it, seeing my grandfather's notes. They were all detailed explanations and opinions on his findings on demon magic. He really did know about magic. I sat down at the desk and read through the journal further, finding drawings and sketches of symbols and magic circles, each with their own different meanings and effects. It was all fascinating. There was even a page of important spells to know. I read through them, trying to memorize them into my mind. I don't know what came over me, but I started to feel more energetic and more powerful simply reading my grandfather's notes. I was suddenly aware of the energy that surrounded my body and the power that was around the house. The more I read, the more powerful I became. However, my mind suddenly froze, and I found myself walking back to the drawer, putting the book back, and closing the drawer. The lock reset, and I snapped out of it. Huh? What? I shook my head and looked at the drawer, realizing what I had done. I walked over to the desk to reopen the lock, but suddenly felt the need to stop. Something held me back and didn't want me to pry any more than I already had. I was curious beyond belief, but I obeyed my thoughts for now. Eventually, I would come back and look into it. I returned to bed, feeling the weight of the morning drag me under my covers to try sleeping again. I had energy, but I wanted more sleep. It was Sunday, and nothing was happening today. Come on, eyes. Back to sleep. I shut my eyes and tried to slow my breathing. I looked at my phone to check the time once again. It was noon, yet it felt like I had slept for much longer. Why is time going so slowly? I mean, you spent 4 hours in the office. Kind of feels like time going fast. I sighed, got changed into normal clothes, and went out to the main hall and sat on the stairs. Sundays were very boring. However, the muffled sounds of battle caught my attention. Huh? I quickly went out to the backyard in response to the noise I had heard. In the yard were all 5 of the boys practicing fighting. Sam was in the middle, with the other 4 surrounding him and throwing punches and kicks at him. Sam, being the strongest of the bunch, blocked and dodged each almost masterfully. Don't disturb them. I just watched. The boys were very much in their own world, focusing on the training they were all in. It was better not to disturb them. I checked the time and decided to head inside to the kitchen. I was getting hungry, and I'm sure the boys would need to eat soon, so lunch was a must. Might as well make lunch today. It's been a while since I cooked. Lunch wasn't particularly hard. I decided to make pizza. Pizza's always good, no matter what time of day it is. Do we have any? Luckily, we had some pizza in the freezer to heat up. Pizza Moore's Baked with Love pizza had all the makings of pizza types, including pepperoni, sausage, mushrooms, and extra cheese. Just top it, bake it, and serve. I'd have to get more later. I placed the food in the dining room. However, none of the boys were there by the time I brought the final dish out. I carried that dish to the main lobby, catching the boys separating into different rooms of the house. Part of me wanted to go into one in particular. The other part of me wanted to just leave them be and take the food in my hand to my room and eat. Maybe I could go out today while the boys focused on training. I'll find one. I quickly rushed back and grabbed a second food dish before hunting down one of the boys. I returned to the backyard, hoping to find an Incubus still there. Luckily, my gut feeling was right. Eric was beside the gazebo, looking at a small flower that was growing on the railing of it. As I approached, Eric turned his head and smiled his usual smile. Now hold on. I hope that when I picked one earlier, that was not for the whole rest of the game. Because I didn't want to pick Eric for the whole game. I was hoping I could pick, like, Sam now or something. Maybe this is always an Eric seed. Hopefully.
Hello, Princess.
Hey, Eric. I got some lunch for you.
Really? You did not have to do that, Princess.
No, it's fine. Here. Eric smiled and took his food, eating a little bit before looking to the flower again. Out of curiosity, I looked as well. It was a simple white daisy in full bloom. Eric shook his head and chuckled softly as I joined him in flower gazing.
Sorry, I was simply reminded of home.
Huh? Oh, no, you're fine. What about home were you reminded of? Eric looked to the sky with a soft smile and before looking to the flower again.
The castle, mainly. Despite us not being there anymore, it was still our home. We grew up there our entire lives as brothers. There wasn't a day that went by when we weren't all doing something exciting. It was an empty excitement, of course, but it was still something that bonded us all together.
Eric slightly trailed off, looking lost in the nostalgia of his thoughts. I didn't know if I wanted to bother him while he remembered something so obviously important to him. Please tell me more? Eric turned to me with a slightly surprised look.
You wish to know more?
Sure. Why not? I'm really curious about the place you lived in. Eric nodded before looking to the flower again. After a second, he gained a look of realization before looking to me again.
Would you like me to show you something instead?
I tilted my head in confusion, but nodded nonetheless. What I was expecting could not have prepared me for what I saw. Eric gently brushed his fingers against the petal of the daisy, making it gently quake at his touch. As the daisy abnormally shivered, its petals shifted from white to purple. The yellow center gently faded to a pink hue as the stem began to turn black. I could only stare as Eric plucked the flower from its place and presented it to me.
Watch closely.
I kept my eyes to the flower as Eric began to mutter something. It sounded close to Latin, but I wasn't sure. Regardless, the flower began to glow in Eric's hand. Small crystal-like spores floated up from the pink center and began to form a circle in the air. As the circle closed, the center filled with smoke, forming a screen of some sort. It was misty, so I couldn't see anything. What is this?
Just watch.
I raised an eyebrow, but I followed his instruction. Eventually, the mist faded away, revealing a large throne room. It was all of stone and tile, with the throne itself covered in red fabric and gold metal. Despite it being a mirror image in a magic mirror, I felt small looking at the side of the throne room. Wow, that looks amazing.
That's our castle. It's a wonderful place. Servants and parties galore.
Does your father sit at the throne when he's at the parties?
Very much so. He despises dancing and socializing, so he makes the throne his home.
Do you think he's still there now? I must have struck a small chord with Eric, because he hesitated before responding. Eric smiled only slightly.
We don't know. When we left, we didn't look back. However, we are sure he's still there, since no one followed us out of the abyssal plains.
I bit my lip. Maybe I shouldn't have asked. I felt really bad. However, I didn't feel it for long. The magic suddenly stopped and faded away while Eric dropped the daisy. As the daisy turned back to its white and yellow color, Eric dropped to a knee, groaning in pain. Eric, are you all right?
Yes, Princess. I'm fine. I just used too much energy, that's all.
I dropped to a knee to try and examine Eric closer. His face was pale, while his purplish eyes shifted back and forth between purple and gold. His breath was heavy, which concerned me. He used too much energy? That meant he needed more. More energy? Sexual
Please
energy?
Don't worry, Princess. I'm fine. Don't worry your beautiful head about it.
I'll kiss him. I felt responsible. I had to help. I quickly grabbed Eric's face and tilted his head to angle with mine. Shifting myself closer, I brought my lips to his and kissed him deeply. I didn't know if this would help, but it was how he got energy before. I shut my eyes, waiting for the draining feeling to reappear in my body. However, Eric grabbed my shoulders and forced me back. I opened my eyes and stared into his frightened golden eyes in surprise. At the same time, I noticed a pink hue run across Eric's face.
Princess? What are you doing?
I don't know why, but I felt both irritated and accomplished at the question and at the look he was giving me. Where was his flirting? Where was his cocky smirk? From what I remembered, he took advantage of me when we met, yet now he was somehow acting inferior to me? I grabbed his hands and removed them from my shoulders, tangling my fingers with his. I'm trying to help and give you some of my energy. You used your energy to show me that sight, so I wanted to pay you back for that. Unless you don't want me to help.
Well, I've already taken your energy once before.
That was before. I wanted to give you energy now. Just let me. All of a sudden, I felt that familiar feeling of warmth run through my body once again. I felt my body slightly heat up as Eric quickly released my hands and wrapped them around my waist, dropping to both knees in front of me. He stared at me with desire in his gaze as he pulled my body to his. Eric leaned his forehead to mine, letting the tips of our noses gently caress each other as he spoke.
You spoil me.
Oh. Jeez. Okay. Before I knew it, I was on top of Eric as he laid on the grass below. That's not what that's a picture of. I stared wide-eyed as he pulled me into a hot and passionate kiss with a gentle hand on the back of my head. Eric's other hand rested on the small of my back while I rested my hands on his chest. I moved myself to straddle his hips to be comfortable in the kiss. The energy from my body was slowly draining, making me feel light and warm. It was almost pitiful how comfortable and how willing I was in this situation. Still, I held no regrets. I was enjoying every bit of this kiss. That's not what the picture is. While Eric held me, he gently rolled us both over so he was on top of me, kissing me hotly and holding me tightly. I was tempted to wrap my legs around him, but I remained focused on the kiss. It was better that I was on the bottom anyway, with my energy slowly fading from my body. However, the draining feeling suddenly stopped as Eric pulled away and looked down at me. I stared up at him as we both panted for air. I'd never kissed like that before, and I was so lost in the moment that I had forgotten how to breathe. Eric, however, didn't move from me, but moved a strand of hair from my face, eyes still full of desire.
I'm completely full, and yet I still desire you.
Oh my god. I could feel the hold of his mind-altering spell fade away, but I still felt hot. Something told me that I wanted more, but at the same time, I wasn't sure if I truly did want to give any more. Yeah, keep going, sure. I opened the opportunity and I was enjoying it as much as he was. I wanted more and I was going to let him keep going. I wanted to keep going. I reached up, pulled him down, and kissed him, giving him silent approval to keep going. I could feel him pull on the tail of my bow, releasing it and following his hand off from around my neck. What? He moved the ribbon to the ground beside me before gently unbuttoning the top buttons of my blouse, stopping at the buttons above my stomach. The desire in my body drove me insane, forcing a moan to escape my lips as he ran kisses from my lips to my exposed neck. Oh my god. NSFW! As he began to ravish my neck and shoulder in hot kisses, I leaned my head back against the grass and let a pleasureful sigh escape my lips. Eric was ruthless in his passionate kisses on my skin. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. Eric didn't stop touching and kissing me, making more moans and gasps rush out of my mouth into the open air. He was full, but he was as hot as I was. I wanted to try the other guys. I didn't want to just stick to Eric. Man, I couldn't even comprehend how much time we spent making out. I was so lost in the pleasure that I didn't care. Call it sinful, but I didn't care. I loved it. His touch, his kiss, his heat. I desired it beyond anything at that moment, even as he lowered his kisses down my chest to just above my bra. Oh my god, it keeps going. My heart was beating wildly in my chest. Something about Eric intrigued me immensely, but something made my heart quicken for him. It couldn't have been love, but it was too passionate to be lust. What was it? However, I began to feel dizzy, seeing the sky start to spin almost wildly. I gripped onto Eric's shoulders, trying to signal him to stop, but my mind faded to black before I could let out another sound. I felt good. I didn't care that I was blacked out. I felt warm and fuzzy in the darkness. I never knew indulging in that kind of passion would be that good. I now just waited to awaken, hopefully in a good way. My eyes eventually fluttered open, adjusting to the sight around me. I felt familiar silks underneath me, letting me know that I was in my bed. I slowly sat up, stretching from the tiredness that still lingered. I felt a very soft pain on my neck and shoulders, and I could feel my swollen lips pulse gently in healing. What? However, when I looked down at my body, I saw that my shirt had been pulled back up and rebuttoned as if nothing happened between me and Eric. I was just missing my ribbon. Before I turned to get out of bed, though, I spotted my ribbon on the pillow beside the one I slept on. It was tied in a nice bow around the daisy Eric had picked with a small note attached to it. I gently slipped the note from the tie and opened it to read it.
You've spoiled me, my princess. I am eternally grateful that you let me indulge like that. Have a good rest.
The voice kills me. I stared at the note, letting a small smile grace my lips. Spoiled him? I enjoyed it, despite the first time's circumstance. It was cute, though, to imagine him thanking me for something we both did and enjoyed. I brought the daisy to my nose and gently inhaled its soft fragrance, letting the memories of our meeting flood my mind. I indulged myself too, Eric. I looked to the time out of curiosity. The large white numbers on my phone showed 5:31 p.m. Yikes, 4 hours of being knocked out, and I still feel tired. It was Sunday, so I was allowed to sleep longer if I wanted to. The remainder of the night passed by, surprisingly uneventful. The boys continued to train with each other, but were kind enough to stop and make me dinner. I was glad for that. Unsurprisingly, the food was perfect, but it felt a little empty without the boys to eat with me. They most likely had already eaten, but still, I felt lonely. I couldn't let it bother me. I ate and went back to my room to study and sleep. Surprisingly, I felt good going to bed that night. I felt like I could have a peaceful sleep after the previous rough nights I had. I felt good. Okay, I'm gonna leave it here. I wanted to get through 2 days at least, and I did, even though we had steamy makeout sesh with Eric. My god. The voice kills me because it's just so comically like, hello, princess. How are you doing? Like, that is so funny to me. I really wanted to try to hang out with Sam or James. And I feel like the game already paired me with Eric because I picked him the first time. But whatever. It's fine. It's fine. I hope you had fun playing because I definitely did. I will see you next time.